All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Mastering Astral Projection, your map to running RPGs online. So, today, we are going to be doing the tech stuff. I've been mentioning this over and over again. I will be doing a tech stuff where literally I just talk about the stuff I use, the stuff that's out there. Excuse me. I literally just finished filming a daily December that I talked for an hour, so I might be slightly losing my voice. So this is that one. The reason I waited till near the end of this as a series to do this is too many people focus on the tech side of the things. The tech is important. Don't get me wrong, but there are so many workarounds for tech that I feel that a lot of groups kind of give up simply because the tech stuff, they decide that the tech stuff is impossible to give them the results that they will want. Specifically, professional run stuff. I've seen two groups specifically that have said flat out, well, we won't do online stuff, but because we can't give you the quality that we need to. I completely understand where they're coming from. The idea of the way that they're able to secure sponsors and ads and things like that is because they can guarantee a certain quality of the show, and that's how they make money. That's how they support themselves. It's not as important as these people claim it is. As someone with a degree in marketing, having a loyal customer base is significantly more useful than having a large customer base 100% of the time. A large customer base is going to be focused entirely on shiny. Ooh, shiny looks pretty. You can cast a very wide net if you put something really shiny in front of them. A loyal customer base is going to be attracted to quality. And while yes, we're going to talk about how there's certain things that you can't really skimp on because they will reduce the overall quality in general. Having a webcam instead of a $4,000 movie camera filming your show is not going to scare away loyal fans. And it's actually not going to scare away a ton of the larger fan base either, because there are quite a few extremely successful, entirely online based RPGs. High Rollers does it. Encounter Roleplay used to do it for years. D&D themselves, Wizards of the Coast, Dice Camera Action was entirely on the line, and they were extremely popular shows. So these are going to be me recommending not only the things that I have worked with personally, but things I have heard other people use to pretty good results. So let's talk about tech stuff. First things first, you have to have some way to communicate if you're going to run an RPG online. Now, longer than most of the internet has been a thing, there have been forums that did play-by-post RPGs. These were the first online to tabletop RPGs, where it was literally just a forum. Forums don't really, they exist in it now, but they've changed massively. Reddit is kind of the closest thing you get to a forum now. And even that is very different from what a forum was. A forum you would go to kind of similar to a Discord channel, which you would go to, and it would have different topics, and anyone could create a topic, and then you could have these really long discussion threads in those topics. Some of the discussion threads going for hundreds and hundreds of pages. People used to play RPGs this way, where everybody on your turn, you would write out what you were going to do. And then you would post it, and then you would wait for the DM to reply, or you would wait for the other players to reply, and that's how you would play the game. And it was a really interesting way. There are still people that do play-by-post content, because it's really, really unique and interesting. Unlike at it to the table, where you theoretically can be interrupted in the middle of whatever you're doing, you get to do your entire post. You can describe an entire action that you're taking, and the only limitations are going to be the limitations that the DM or GM imposes on how posting goes, and it can be very, very effective if you would like that. However, the benefit of play-by-post is also the downfall. You don't have to have everyone there at the same time. People can just make their post whenever they have free time, but it does mean, a single round of combat can take days, depending on how often people are checking your particular forum or Discord server, however you're doing it now. So in general, the accepted way of running RPGs on the line now, and why I call this mastering astral projection, because you're literally projecting yourself to another person. And in the D&D world, we would use a spell like astral projection to do this, is you use either audio chat or video chat. I'm going to tell you right now, video chat is always better. And this is not a quality thing. Most of my games have at least one person that doesn't use video chat. My last Three Kingdoms game, both players that were there did not have a video chat. They were audio only. So this is not saying that you cannot play if you don't have a webcam or you don't want to be on camera. I'm not saying that at all. However, video changes the things. Them being able, at least for the GM, you really need the video, and you need decent video. It doesn't have to be amazing, but if you're massively pixelated to where they can't actually read your expression, it's not going to be good. And the reason I say that is facial expressions are part of what are going to transmit that emotional evocation that we talked about in the last episode. Again, you need every benefit you can get if you're going to create a feeling like you're still at a table. And video is an asset. Video is a benefit. You want to be using it because you can tell so much with your face that will not be carried over in an audio-only channel. So bare minimum for a GM, you can run entirely audio. A lot of people do it. There are tons of podcasts of live played D&D where it isn't entirely audio. It's still a good idea, and if you can, even if you were just doing a podcast where all you're going to do is record it, your players are going to react to your facial expressions. They're going to react to your body language. So video is important. And that brings up two things that you have to worry about: your physical equipment and the program that you use to get that video out there. A good, a decent webcam is not super hard to find. I use a Logitech. I think it's a Charlie 9 to 20. Is the one I use. It's a 1080p webcam. It is great. It's what I've been recording on for years. Eventually, I would like to upgrade to something that can record in 4K. Not that I can stream in 4K, but for the stuff that I record on my computer at home, having that little bit higher resolution can make my videos look that much better. 4K cameras or anything that records higher than 1080p, super expensive. They're very technical. They require you to understand a lot about cameras. A 1080p or even just a 7 to 20p camera is super simple. Logitech makes a ton of them. In general, they range in price for anywhere from about $40 up to $100. If you find them on sale, you can get them for a lot cheaper. Generally, 720p is really all you need to get effective communication. And again, they tend to be relatively cheap compared to other things. Your camera is probably going to be your most expensive thing that you spend money on. And you can cut that out a lot. Another thing you can do if money really is an issue for you, which it is for a lot of people, is going to your group to have everyone pitch in. This may sound like begging or anything like that. It's not. Having the GM have a camera is going to improve the play experience for everyone. So if you go to the group and go, hey, I want to run this online. I don't have the money for a camera. Would you guys all be willing to pitch in? $10 per person for a 4-person party, including the GM to make it a 5 people, so 4 players and a GM. That's $50. That can pretty easily get you a decent enough webcam. And in general, most of these webcams are plug and play. The bare minimum you'll have to do is maybe install drivers for it. A lot of times they will come with software. You don't have to use that as a software if you don't want to. However, the software can sometimes be useful. It can change things. It can mirror the picture. A lot of things that aren't really that important, but can be fun for you. So as a GM, you need to get a camera. For the players, camera is preferred. It's not necessary. Like I said, most of the games I run have at least one person that is not on camera. And that is perfectly fine. For the players, it's not nearly as important because they don't have anywhere near as much effect on how the game is, on how the environment is being set. They have a massive effect on their character and how they interact. But if the GM is not exuding those emotions and really captivating the group, you can't really expect your players to pick up that part of this as a slack. There's other things the players should be doing to put effort in to making it a good game. But the setting and the environment and the ambiance, that is something that really is reliant on the GM itself. It's part of being a GM. In addition to the video, you need a way to actually have your players speak to you. And that means audio. Audio is one of the things that can really break an online RPG. And the reason why is the reason why I wore lip liner for years. On stage, first of all, I have never had an extremely strong jawline. I've always had kind of a round face, especially when I'm overweight, it becomes even more round. So it's actually a little bit hard to see my jawline. It starts here and it goes all the way back, And you can see if I pull the skin back, I've got a really strong jaw underneath my flab. So seeing where my face ended was kind of difficult. So on stage, I would always put highlights on top of my jaw, and I would put shadow underneath it to just accentuate that I had a jawline. Because in the audience, they will actually watch your lips move, and they will watch your jaw move. And if they can't see that, it kind of, to them, feels like the voice is coming from nowhere. In addition to that, I would wear lip liner because it made my lips stand out more, and it made it easier to understand. If the audience can't understand what you're saying, they're not going to understand what's going on. The same is true about an online RPG. Now, both things I talked about were visual. Audio, because you're using microphones for an online RPG, making it so you can be heard is significantly easier. A lot of times on stage, I was not mic'd, just because that's I did community theater and high school and college stuff. We were not made of money. So we wouldn't, in general, we wouldn't be mic'd. I can think of maybe 3 shows where they gave me a mic. And I was leads a lot more than the 3 times. So when you're talking about audio, yeah, it's still useful to have video, because being able to see their lips move, even if you don't read lips, makes it easier to understand them 100% of the time. However, when you're talking about audio, you need something that's going to give it, make it clear enough so that you can understand what's happening. And that means 2 things for both you and your players. You will need a microphone, and you will need headsets or earbuds. The earbuds are specifically because you needed a way to hear the other players and everything that's going on that's not going to be picked up by your mic. Now, if you get really, really expensive mics like this one, this is not a super expensive mic. It's a blue Yeticaster. It would be considered an intermediate level microphone. There are a lot of people that use them, a lot of streamers that use them. The whole setup with the shock mount, the arm itself, and the mic would have cost me around to $200. I got a deal on it because I bought it with my computer, so I think it cost me like $130. That is still massively beyond a lot of people's budget for getting a microphone. And with the rise of Twitch sings and professional streamers and that, there are a lot of conversations when you ask about a mic. They'll ask you, what do you want to go, XLR? Do you want to go USB? Are you going to use a mixer? All of those are extremely expensive. XLR mics in general, which if you don't know what that means, XLR is a connector. It is a type of cable, and it specifically refers to what most people call mic cables, which it's a round cable, which the male end just has 3 cylindrical ports in it in a triangle shape, just like that. So 3 things, and it plugs in. That's an XLR cable. It's what sound is run on in the real world. Like if you're not at a computer, you are using mics with XLR cables. Every mixer in every studio, every theater, anything like that, they use XLR mics. XLR mics have been around for decades, since we started using microphones almost. They use them a ton. That is an XLR mic. In general, they're more expensive, and they tend to be higher quality because they're designed to be used in a professional setting. It does not mean all XLR mics are always going to be better than a USB mic. Your mileage will vary. However, if you are just playing an online RPG, don't worry about getting an XLR mic. Don't worry about getting a mixer. You are not going to be using enough of the mic's range to ever justify using a mixer for your mic. To be perfectly honest, I would say an upwards of 70 to 80% of the people on Twitch that have really, really elaborate, fancy setups with multiple mics and multiple cameras and $300-400 mixers that they can do to do all this stuff have wasted a shit ton of money, because they can get just as good quality with a $10 Rock Band mic for Xbox. And I'm talking about the original Xbox. What I mean by that is, for years on this channel, I used a $10 Xbox Guitar Hero mic, or I think it was the other one that I can't remember what it's called. You can find them on eBay. You can find them on Amazon. They're super cheap. The reason I said Xbox specifically is because it uses a USB port, and to connect it to your computer, you're going to want a USB port. Again, you can find things that'll let you plug an XLR into a USB point. There are adapters and things like that. They're massively complicated. Don't deal with them unless you're going to be doing more than running just an RPG. Literally, all you need is a Rock Band mic. That's the name of the game. Just a Rock Band mic. And it can be from the original Xbox. It can be something newer. The newer ones are going to do better and more things. They're going to be higher quality, and you're going to run into less of a risk that you're getting it used and it's been damaged. But you just need a Rock Band mic. They are massively cheap. You can hold it, or you can get a mic stand. Depending on the stand you get, it can be $10-15. You can spend $50, $60, $100, $200 on a mic stand. Again, not stuff you really need. Place the mic on your desk using a desktop stand. Stack books. Make your own stand. There's lots of different ways to do it. It does not have to be expensive to be good enough quality. You may want to invest in a pop filter. That's literally just a little foam thing that you put over the thing, which makes it so this actually has a built-in pop filter, so I'm not sure. I'll try. Pop filter. You notice and I just totally spit all over my mic. Theoretically, you should have heard some weird sounds when I was making those p and t sounds. Those are pops. Those are mic pops. They can get really annoying. It doesn't really matter in an RPG as long as you can understand what they're saying, which generally requires just clear enough audio that you can hear them. The nice thing about a Rock Band mic is you can control the distance by just holding it. If you want to get fancier, I had what was called a boom arm on a mic stand, which is basically you have the mic stand and then it has another arm that can swivel and you can kind of move it around so that your mic stand can be like over here, and then the mic just goes over so you can talk and you can adjust it, move it further away without having the mic stand like on you. The mic stand's over here and it extends over. Boom mic stands can be expensive, so like I said, the easiest thing you can do is just get a little tabletop mic stand or stack books. Use bookends. Like you literally can just take bookends and sandwich the mic. Don't squish it or crush it, but just sandwich the mic in between them on top of a book and have the mic pointed at you. Rock Band mics are what are called cardioid mics. I don't need to get into huge details about the different types of range that you can get on the mic. What that is, a cardioid mic is only going to pick up what it's pointed at in general and a little area around it. So using a cardioid mic, you need to point it at you, and it's only going to pick up clearly the stuff that's in a little bubble near it. So if you sit far away from your computer, like I do, you may need to have it. Like I have these little desk things that go on the arms of my chair that I keep my keyboard and my mouse on. If I was using that, I would have the mic sitting on one of those. So it's close enough that it can pick me up. But those are the only two things you need to worry about with a simple rock band mic: is how close is it to you, and is it pointed at you. And that's it. They are plug and play. There's no your computer already has the drivers to use that if you're running a Windows machine. I believe it should also work on a Mac as well. Linux, your mileage will vary because Linux is a massively customizable operating system. But most kind of default driver packs will have a mic driver so that your computer can recognize it and you use it. That's all you need. If you don't want to go that route, getting just a decent headset. And by decent, I don't mean like this. This is the headset I use when I'm running. This is a Corsair. The headset itself, I think it runs like $100 or something like that. It might be only 60. I can't remember. Again, I got to deal with it because I got it with my computer. Corsair makes really nice gaming headset. And this headset specifically, I'll bring it up again, it has a mic attached to it that I just muted. It's really, really nice. The mic is super crystal clear. You can adjust how far away it is from your mouth. It's a super directional mic, so it's only going to pick up when it's pointed at your mouth. So it's really nice if you have other stuff. Like you guys may hear some white noise in the background. I have an air purifier that I recently moved from across the room to closer to my desk, just so it can filter more air more effectively. Directional microphones generally won't pick that stuff up. So yeah, you could spend a lot of money on a Corsair. It'll give you really good sound quality, really good mic quality. You don't have to. For years, I used a Logitech headset. I say Logitech a lot because they make decent, cheap stuff. They're not what I would call a super high quality brand. They are more your entry and mid-level stuff, and their mid-level stuff is still going to be the lower end of mid-level. But we're not looking for the most amazing, powerful, wonderful stuff. We're looking for something that's going to give you a clear volume and make your speech understandable. Are you going to be able to do massive variations in volume if you're using just a simple headset? Not really. As an actor, one of the things you learn is controlling your volume can bring the audience in. Speaking very softly can make the audience strain to hear you, and they'll actually lean forward. And so really, really important things. If you get very quiet, the audience will hyper focus on you. Whereas the louder you are, the easier it is for them to hear, and you can actually force them to take a step back a little bit. You need a good mic to take advantage of the extremes of your voice. You don't need to take advantage of the extremes of your voice when you are playing an RPG Online. You just need something to speak into. So, review. You need a mic. The microphone can be as simple as a $10 Rock Band Xbox mic. Make sure it has a USB connection on it. And you can make your own mic stand, you can buy one. But in general, you can get that done for $10 to $20 without too much difficulty. You will need headsets. A cheap headset is not really expensive. Most of your phones come with earbuds for free. And most computers will have a headset port that you can just plug it into to have that. A lot of speakers, if you have external speakers for your computer, a lot of them have a headset port on the speakers themselves, so you don't have to actually plug it into the computer. You can plug it into your speakers. So getting decent quality headsets is not difficult. Again, you can get a set of earbuds generally for less than $10. So the whole setup for your entire group to be ready for audio at least is going to be maybe $20 to $30. And a lot of that may be stuff that they already have. Video is important specifically for the GM, but it's not super important. You can get a decent video camera or a webcam for about $50 to $60. And it's a one-time purchase that can last for years and years and years. If your players want to do that too, again, Logitech makes really good to cheap stuff. If you ever want to go the more professional route, you're going to want to start looking into nicer things. But even the high-end Logitechs, as far as webcams are concerned, even their high-end stuff tends to be remarkably good. But again, there are a lot of really high-end professional quality stuff you can eventually go into. But don't do it just because you're doing an RPG show. If you're building like a Twitch studio for yourself, go ahead and get, professional level stuff. But if you're just doing stuff from your computer, you are probably never going to get your money's worth out of professional quality equipment like massive mixers and stuff like that. It's just, you have to know how to use them. You have to have knowledge of how they will work. And most people, it's just not worth it to learn all of that just to run an RPG online. So that's the hardware stuff. Software. There's two different things of software you're going to be dealing with. There are your virtual tabletops, which we've mentioned before, but I'll go into more details. And then your communication software, whatever you are using to get their information to you, whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's both, all that stuff. You need communication software. Communication software is the one that I have had the most trouble with, because there's a lot of stuff out there. There are tons of video chat programs and voice over IP programs. It's nuts how much there is out there. And everything has a but. Yeah, it does this, but. And it can get very frustrating. So I will start with what I am using right now. The thing I've had the best results with is Zoom. Zoom has become super popular during this wonderful time that I won't name, particularly because it's fairly reliable. It's fairly user friendly, and they partner with a lot of businesses and things like that. Zoom is designed for businesses. And when hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars rest on whether or not you can hear and understand what someone is saying during the negotiations, they're going to put a lot of work into this. There have been issues with Zoom involving security. Most of those issues have been resolved, but the issues were with corporate espionage, not with your personal information getting leaked or anything like that. The issue was, for a while, quote unquote, private meetings, if you could find the link, could become public very quickly. And so if you shared any privileged information, it could become public information very quickly. People could just jump into calls without anyone knowing. For a tabletop RPG, that's not as big a deal. If someone does randomly show up in your RPG, you can just go, "Hi, who are you? Oh, is this not economics the 301? No, it's not. You need to leave our chat." And that's it. Like, even if they hear you describing what's going on, it's not going to change anything. So security issues really aren't a big deal for RPGs. That being said, Zoom costs money. I subscribe to one of them. I can't remember which version it is. There is a free version of Zoom. Your players in general will not have to pay anything, but in order for you to host calls with more than I think 2 or 3 people, you need to pay for Zoom, and I think the one I did to do is like $15 a month. It's not an exorbitant amount of money, but as someone that has lived paycheck to paycheck my entire life, $15 can be a lot. It can be an insurmountable amount of money when you have to choose between doing this and getting food. Reliability-wise, in general, Zoom is not going to drop your calls. Your internet connection is going to drop your calls. Zoom in general is not going to screw up your audio. Generally, that's going to be whatever broadcast software you're using or your internet connection. That's the reason I like Zoom, because I can control my internet connection to a point. I can control everything else, but if the program itself is going to crash and cause issue and drop people, that's going to cause all those interruptions we talked about before, and people aren't going to like that's going to take them out. So I like Zoom, and is what I use. It costs money. If you don't have money, there are a lot of other ones. Discord has audio chat. They at one point they had video chat. It sucked. It was so buggy and bad. I tried using it once and then never again. But for audio chat, Discord is super good. A lot of people use Discord when playing games online because it's really reliable. You can set up push to talk, which is really good when you can't control the ambient noise in your room. Push to talk is amazingly useful. So you can only have your mic on when you're speaking into it. And so if you've got dogs or maybe kids that are making a lot of noise, you only have to worry about that when you're speaking. It's not going to be throwing everyone off all the time. Again, the issue with the Discord is it doesn't give you video, but it's free. So if you can sacrifice video, like I said, for a GM, it's going to make your job that much harder if you yourself don't have a video. But if you're willing to sacrifice that, Discord is a really good free alternative. Google Hangouts, which used to be Google Plus Hangouts, that's what I ran my first game on. My first online game, I used a Google Hangout. They're super useful. The tech acts up a lot. You will have people that drop out of the call randomly due to nothing on their end. Google will just the Hangout will just screw them up. It will garble your audio every so often, so you may have to say things multiple times to get people to work. The video quality is kind of weird, and broadcasting a Hangouts game gets complicated because of how it switches the things as far as the video is concerned. But it's free. Not only does it work on computers, any Android phone will be able to use Google Hangouts as well. It's made by the same people. So if your player doesn't have a computer, using Google Hangouts can allow them to play with just a phone. All they need to do is plug some headsets or earbuds in or whatever, so you're not hearing everyone else over and over again, and they can literally use the microphone on their phone, which most phones have pretty decent mics. I believe Discord has got a similar thing where you can use a voice chat on your phone, and Zoom may have an app for it. I'm not as sure. But if you have players that just literally cannot afford a mic and a headset, have them play on a phone. They'll be losing out on other things we're going to talk about a little bit, but not really. And Google Hangouts is really good for that. It's free. I used it for years. It integrates with YouTube if you want to broadcast the things. So yeah. It's unreliable to a point, so you get what you pay for. But like I said, I used Google Hangouts for years, and once you get used to how it works, it works pretty well. Skype is another one you can use. I hate Skype. Skype itself causes issues with computers. It's a huge resource hog. The video chat is less reliable than Google Hangouts. And Skype has this thing where once you install it on your computer, most computers have it pre-installed because it's made by Microsoft. So if you have a Windows computer, you have Skype. I'll almost guarantee it. And it will automatically run in your background without you ever turning it on. By default, it is set to run in the background, and it slows computers down immensely. Uninstalling it is a pain in the ass, but it's possible. Getting it to just start running on startup is significantly easier. But I do not recommend Skype. If it's the only thing you have access to, it can work. But you're going to get a much better result using Google Hangouts. Or if you can afford it, Zoom is going to be better than both of them. Now, in addition to the video chat, having a virtual tabletop allows you to do things like use minis for combat. It allows you to set the ambiance. I've talked about Roll20 before. Roll20 is really, really useful. It's what I have been running my RPGs with since I started running them using a virtual tabletop. Roll20 is free, first of all, and it has built-in video chat. The thing with using Zoom or Google Hangouts is it will basically require the players, if you are using a virtual tabletop, it require the players to have both the Zoom chat or the video chat open, plus they will also have to have the virtual tabletop open. So it forces them to have two of the things open. And if you're using the video chat and you want them to be able to see you, it's going to take up real estate on their screen. I run a 3 monitors setup. So I always have, I generally will have one monitor that's dedicated just to my video chat. I'll have one to my my virtual tabletop, and then everything else I will have on another monitor in corners and stuff like that. A lot of players are not going to have even a 2 monitors as a setup. They're going to just have a single monitor setup, and to have both open, they're going to have 2 different windows open on the same monitor, taking away from both. So with Roll20, everything is contained within Roll20. The issue with Roll20 is I haven't used it in 6 months, maybe almost a year now. But when I was using it, the Roll20 video chat is super temperamental. Even the audio chat, because you can do audio only on Roll20 the video chat is super temperamental. First things first, you have to use Google Chrome. It says it works in Firefox. It doesn't. Everybody needs to be in Google Chrome, because anyone that is not in Google Chrome will not be able to hear certain people in Google Chrome, and it changes every single game which person they're not going to be able to hear, and other people will not be able to hear them in Google Chrome. If your internet connection is flaky at all, you will be dropped from the video chat constantly. If your updates are not completely good, you will be dropped from the video call constantly. If you are using the Roll20 video chat, I generally will, they will let you set the quality. If you can, set the quality to the lower thing, because you are never going to have a game that you are running, or you're very rarely going to have a game that you're running where everyone has really good, solid internet connections, unless you're running a game with others, just as streamers, where their internet connection is essential for them doing their job. Yeah, the Roll20 is flaky. You will have to troubleshoot every single time you do it. The video chat, I mean. But it works. And when you do get it working, it works really well. If you don't mind doing audio only for most of your players, it becomes significantly more reliable when you're using it for only audio chat. The other features of Roll20 are phenomenal. I've talked before about the jukebox feature, which gives you access to a massive library of ambient sound, of sound effects you can use, of royalty-free music through Incomtech. You just have to credit the songs that you're using somewhere, which there are a lot of different ways to do that. So I cannot recommend Roll20 enough, especially since, as I said before, that ambiance is really important. Having them hear the wind blowing as they're playing will really bring them into the game. And again, Roll20 is completely free. There are subscriptions you can get to Roll20, which allows you to do things like have player line of sight on your maps. And use fog of war and things like that to make the actual tabletop aspect of it a little bit more interesting. So you never really have to worry about, well, can't they see that? The program will do it for you. You can put your character sheets into Roll20 and have Roll20 make all your rolls for you. A lot of times you just click on the ability you want to use and it will auto roll it for you. We use this when I run Open Legends because in Open Legends, all dice explode, meaning if you roll the max number on any die, you get to keep that. So like if you roll a d6, you roll it and you roll a 6, you get to keep that 6 and then you roll it again and can add it to that number. So if you roll on a d6, if you roll a 6 and then a 3, you've actually rolled a 9 on that roll. If you roll a 6 and then another 6 and then another 6 and then a 1, you've just rolled a 19 on a d6, which does happen, especially when you start using the advantages system in Open Legend. So we roll almost exclusively in Roll20 because it automates the process and will automatically explode the dice. That's how some of my players have rolled 50s and 60s on D20 rolls. Like I said, Roll20 really useful. Another extremely popular another really popular virtual tabletop is called Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds, first of all, does not have video chat built into it, and I am not super familiar with Fantasy Grounds because I've only played a demo of it. Fantasy Grounds itself is a paid program. To play in games using Fantasy Ground, you can download the demo, and that's perfectly fine. But to run games in Fantasy Ground, you have to purchase the Fantasy Ground itself. If you want to use any of the built-in tools like character sheets, monsters, stat blocks, things like that, rules, you actually have to purchase a license for the rules in Fantasy Grounds. If you go to the Steam page for Fantasy Grounds and you go to the DLC section and you go all the way to the bottom where it'll say buy all the DLC, it is in the thousands of dollars because every version of every RPG that they offer is a different purchase, and they generally will run between 20 and $30 a piece. So if you want to run 5th edition, you effectively have to repurchase all of your books in Fantasy Ground. There isn't a 5th edition license that gives you access to everything. Every single book you have to buy in Fantasy Grounds to use it in the program itself. Now, that doesn't mean you have to, like, if you want to run Storm King's Thunder, you have to buy Storm King's Thunder through Fantasy Grounds in order to run it on Fantasy Grounds. You can just buy the book. I've got the book right over here. You can just buy the book, or actually, I don't think I have that one. But I have other ones. You can just buy the book and run it directly out of the book. But buying it on Fantasy Grounds gives you benefits like you'll have the maps that you can automatically use, that you don't have to worry about taking pictures or anything or drawing the maps yourself, which I have done a lot. I have redrawn maps from adventures using map making programs. The same is true about Roll20. You can buy books and stuff like that. The big difference being the base, like just using character sheets for 5th edition is pre-built into Roll20, whereas with Fantasy Grounds, you literally have to purchase a license for 5th edition generally to... you might be able to get just the blank character sheets. But beyond that, everything else you have to do through Fantasy Grounds. And in order to host a game, you have to purchase a license for Fantasy Ground, which normal price, I believe, is about $40. So Fantasy Ground is a really, really refined thing. I don't know... yeah, Fantasy Ground does not natively support sound either. It is literally just a virtual tabletop. So if you want to use ambience and things like that, you have to use another program. So one of the reasons I recommend Roll20 so much, they have built-in sound, they have built-in video chat. The built-in video chat doesn't work super well, but it's free and it does work to a point. So yeah, you can use a Fantasy Ground. You can use the Tabletop Simulator, which actually has VR support. And then you can actually use minis and build maps, and they have tons of like dungeon tiles and stuff, and actual 3D terrain you can build in Tabletop Simulator. The issue you're going to run into with the Tabletop Simulator is you are still going to have another program you're going to need for bare minimum for your character sheets and stuff like that. So if you're playing in VR, you can roll dice and everything in there, and you can import your character sheets into it as like pictures. So you can have them there. But D&D is not like natively supported into the Tabletop Simulator. You'll have to download add-ons and things like that and mods, of which there are tons. And it doesn't have to be VR either. You can do it just on screen. They have built-in voice chat, I believe. And if not, again, you can just have Discord running in the background if they don't. The big issue with using the Tabletop Simulator, especially if you do the VR version, is going to be the fact that you can't use the video because it's just not supported. But yeah, Tabletop Simulator, it's another one you have to purchase. The nice thing about the Tabletop Simulator, there are tons of free mods, whereas Fantasy Ground, everything is has a price. So yeah, the virtual tabletops, I highly recommend them. Roll20 is the one I recommend more than anything. They do not sponsor me, support me, anything like that. Though Roll20, if you're watching, I'd be totally fine with you guys giving me money to talk about how great your stuff is. Hit me up. But having a virtual tabletop is super useful. The ability to use minis in combat can be something that helps to bring in people because they have something to focus on. Even if you're not using minis, you can put pictures up that you can switch between in Roll20 to kind of illustrate what's going on. If you're not just streaming it, you can use any pictures you want. If you are streaming it, you run into copyright issues with the images that you're using. But the amount of copyright-free and royalty-free images, especially Creative Commons images, out there, is astounding. So you can definitely find images that you can just show your players just to give them something to look at and something to draw them in. If you are an artist, you can create your own images, pictures, and the things like that to give the players something visual to look at, even if you're not using the miniature aspects of the virtual tabletop. So yeah. This has been a really, really long, really technical video about what you need to run an RPG online as far as tech is concerned. The reason this is effectively going to be the second to last of a video I do for this first run of Mastering Astral Projection is because too many people put this massive emphasis on getting all the tech stuff right, and you don't need to. People were playing RPGs online longer than video chat has been a thing. Way back in the 90s, play by post was a big thing, and it still happens to today. It's a very unique style of running RPGs and can be a lot of fun. But if you want that feeling of being at the table, the things that you need communication hardware. For the GM, that means you really should have a camera, and a decent one at that, and a microphone for players, and you should have some sort of headset. For the players, you need a headset and a mic. If you can get a camera, that's good. Most webcams have built-in microphones, which can work really well, and will mean you don't have to buy a separate microphone. For software, you need some sort of communication program. Zoom is my personal favorite. I think it's the most useful. Google Hangouts is a great free alternative. Discord is a good free alternative if you don't mind losing out on video chat. And Roll20 itself has built-in video chat, which is really useful. It's buggy on a good day, but if you can work around the bugs, it's great, and it's for free. Don't use Skype. It's a waste of time, and it slows down your computer. A virtual tabletop is really important when playing RPGs. Again, the one I use, the one I recommend is Roll20. Everything is in one little package, and it's all free. You have free tokens you can use for miniatures. You have free images you can use for making maps. You can draw your own maps. You have free sound, free ambience. All of it is wonderful and amazing. You can upload your own sounds to the jukebox. If you have particular songs that you want to use, watch out for copyright when you're doing that. Fantasy Ground is a gold standard for running RPGs online. I believe Encounter Roleplay, when they used to still exist, before everything that happened, I believe they almost exclusively ran through Fantasy Grounds. A lot of professional live play broadcasts use Fantasy Ground because it is super solid. And if you take the time to learn the system, it gives you a lot of tools. You just have to pay for them. Everything with Fantasy Grounds has a cost. So as long as you don't mind investing in your games, you can do a lot. And investing in things like D&D books on Fantasy Grounds can give you a really large return on investment, because it won't just work for a single campaign. You can use it for years and years, as long as you are playing 5th edition to D&D. And to put that in perspective, there are people today playing original Dungeons and Dragons that came out in the 70s. So we are talking about 50 years of using this as the same stuff. There is obviously computer programs aren't going to last quite that long, but you can get your money's worth out of it if you are wanting to invest. Tabletop Simulator can also be a really, really fun, different way to play, especially if your players have access to VR tech. It can be a really, really fun thing. And even without VR tech, you can create the 3D terrain that they can look around and to do stuff in. And other than having to buy Tabletop Simulator itself, which I think is like to $20, and goes on sale constantly, most of the stuff you can use, you can just get free mods to give you 3D terrain, to give you miniatures. Like, there's just so much. The only issue with Tabletop Simulator, it's not the most intuitive thing in the world. So there's a bit of a learning curve. But yeah, that is the tech side of running your RPGs online. It's a really dry subject, but this is something that you have to get to learn. The absolute last bit of advice I can give you is do the trial runs before you actually play the game, and people are going to make impressions about how this is going to go going forward. Do a trial run before your first session. Before your sessions is a 0, get a couple of people together and just try every bit of tech you're using beforehand. Because you will find out what the bugs are then, and then when they come up, when you're playing, you'll be better. You'll be able to deal with them. You'll be able to anticipate them. Nothing will turn off your group faster than going, I don't know what's wrong. This has never happened before. That will happen. I'm not going to say it won't. But doing a dry run in theater, we used to have these things we had called dry tech and wet tech. Dry tech was just doing everything with all these sound and lighting working. But you weren't in costume or makeup or anything like that. Wet tech was everything. You were in makeup, you were in full costume, you were using full props, and you would always have at least a few wet tech rehearsals before you had your dress rehearsals. And that was because both your dry tech and your wet tech, you will not get through the full show. You will stop every 10 to 15 minutes to go, hold, we need to fix this. Hold, we need to fix this. It happens. That's the purpose of what's called Tech Week or Hell Week in the theater. The same thing has to happen in our PG. If you're running it online, you need to have a dry tech run through where you try everything. Try rolling. Try playing music. Try everyone attempting to use video chat. Simulate what the real experience is going to be as much as possible before you run the game, because your first game is going to flavor the rest of the campaign, and you can and will lose people in the first game if it's not fun. Yeah. That is all for me today. As always, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. Lets me know you liked it. It lets YouTube know you like it. And if enough people tell YouTube they like it, YouTube lets other people see it. That's really important. In addition, hit the subscribe button. Currently, I'm putting out 12 videos a week. That will probably end this week with the end of this first run of my Mastering Astral projection. Yeah, hit the subscribe button to get all of my videos directly to your inbox. Hit the notification bell so that when I do release things at odd times, you don't miss any of it. because you don't want to be missing my videos, and every so often I put them out at weird times because mental health is a bitch. In the comments below, like I said, this is the second to last episode of Mastering Astral Projection. Next week, I'm going to talk about streaming and how that changes and broadcasting your game, and some of the things I've learned in streaming them for the over half a decade I've been doing this. So in the comments below, if you have questions about streaming, put them there. I will answer them in the next video. In addition to that, if you guys want a second season, let's just say, of this series, where I talk more about running RPGs online, I need topics to talk about. These are the ones I felt were most important. But they are by no means the only things. So if you have other questions about how to run an RPG online, how to give that feeling that everyone is at the same table, put them in the comments of this video and the next one. Or you can tweet me. I'm at Trainer Jody on Twitter. But for me to make a second season of Mastering Astral Projection, I will need topics to discuss, and they need to come from you guys. This is so yeah. Otherwise, again, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye bye.